Alan, thank you so much for your time. Are children more ignorant today of their Western heritage than, say, children 20 years ago, from your experience?
They probably are. Certainly our standards overall have declined over the last 20 years, Andrew, and I do get concerned that students don't have a firm understanding of how we did become this rich, egalitarian, free, Western liberal democracy that we are today, that is so attractive for millions of migrants to come here. And as you were just suggesting then, if you don't understand that, then you're less likely to defend it and value it. And that's why it's so important for it to be taught in our schools.
Or even know how it works. I mean, it's just so sad. I mean, look at the rubbishing of free speech now. Well, given what you've just said, surely this new draft curriculum cannot stand.
I would agree with that. There's many parts of the curriculum, over hundreds of pages. My key point in relation to the curriculum is that I want to see the curriculum standards lift overall, and particularly mathematics and reading and science. But I am deeply concerned about the history curriculum. Of just reviewing earlier today the year 7 to 10 history curriculum, and I tell you, there's almost nothing positive said about Australia in all 84 pages. And I reckon if students if they were reading it, would come out thinking, they wouldn't come out thinking what an amazing country we are. Yes, we've had our flaws, but aren't we the greatest country in the world, which I think we are? And certainly millions upon millions of people think we are, because they migrate to come to this country. In fact, I think reading that year 7 to 10 curriculum, as I did this afternoon, I think you'd have quite a negative view on Australia, and you wouldn't develop that deep understanding of how we did become that rich, egalitarian, free, liberal democracy that we are today.
Oh, doesn't that scare you, that people in charge of teaching teachers what to teach children have such a hateful view of this country, a democracy, a place that people break their necks to come and live in, people from all corners of the globe?
I am concerned that there are many people within the academic world particularly that have that very negative view of Australia and only see Australia through a negative lens since European settlement. And I think that is wrong. I think there's many things that our forebears didn't do as well as they could have done. And the treatment of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people was not great earlier on, that is for sure. But having said that, I mean, even the settlement of Australia by Europeans when they first arrived, I mean, it was a very enlightened European settlement, because even Arthur Phillip expressly said, which was unique in the world, or relatively unique in the world at the time, that we won't have slavery, for example, in Australia, an expressed desire. It was a country which was settled with Enlightenment principles at mind. And over the course of our 200 plus years of at least European settlements here in Australia, we've become so attractive for so many people. We are such a successful multicultural country. We are so wealthy. We have such prosperity and freedom that, you know, we're just a magnet for people to want to come here, and quite rightly so. And we should learn about that and just have such pride. You wouldn't if you listen to some academics and some activists on the left.
You're talking about a draft curriculum that's not in schools yet. A friend of mine, a child in state school, and by coincidence this afternoon sent me a note from the school that the school sent all parents. The children have to wear purple tomorrow for Sorry Day, staff as well. They have to celebrate Aboriginal culture. They have to donate to an Aboriginal organisation. They have to watch or read Kevin Rudd's Sorry Day speech, where he accuses non-Aborigines of being cruel to Aborigines, stealing even their children, and so on. And the thing I get, like, we're told, you know, we want truth-telling now. Truth-telling. I'm all in favour of truth-telling. In your opinion, should school children also be taught not just the bad things that whites did to Aborigines, but also the good things, but particularly too, what bad things Aborigines did to Aborigines, the tribal massacres of the past, the very high levels of warfare, the evidence from eyewitnesses and bone fractures that Aboriginal women in traditional societies suffered terrible beatings. Because this isn't so simple. As peaceful, nice Aboriginal society, then whites came and all hell broke loose.
Listen, I think that's right. I think we should have an accurate and assessment, as best we understand, that ancient Aboriginal history. And I think we've got better over time at teaching Aboriginal history and recognising the rich culture which has been part of Australia for 40,000, 50,000, 60,000
It wasn't all rich,
and we should
that's
quite
my point.
rightly...
It wasn't all rich.
It's like in all societies. I mean, I think all societies have got their positives and their negatives. And we should be accurate in relation to that, Andrew. I also think that we should be accurate in terms of pointing out things from an Indigenous perspective. I think that's quite good for us to reflect upon that. But at the same time, we should have a good discussion about things like some of the missions, and some of the missions did some very good work, and many of the Aboriginal senior leaders, the older people, will say that today and bemoan the fact that the missions weren't there. Others, though, had a very different perspective. And I think it's fine to discuss those various perspectives that different Aboriginal people have on it.
I agree with you, and I hope you're right, but I suspect that I won't live long enough to see schools also teach that Aboriginal societies, like Thomas Malthus used to say, you know, nasty, brutish and short, those were not pretty lives, which explains why so few people want to live like that today. But Alan Tudge, thank you so much for your time, and good luck to your right arm.
Thanks very much, Andrew.